DIRT TRAX TV is sponsored by Polaris, think outside. Can-Am, follow your path. Yamaha, revs your heart. And by Honda Power Sports, power your dreams, whatever the terrain.
In the last build episode, we finally got the lift kit on this vehicle and the tires and wheels on, and it's starting to look the part of an overland build. But for this week, we're not slowing down at all, with a myriad of parts going on that are gonna change the look even that much further. So let's get into it. But the truth is, functionality is what we're going for, and right up front, Team MSCparts.com's half doors are going to be huge, both looks and functionality. And let's be honest, nets are not anyone's first pick. So getting rid of the stock nets for these really unique and super thick at 5/8 inch HDPE doors is very high up on my list of must-haves for this build. They feature a dual stage latch, so even if you don't fully latch the door, it won't swing open when driving. Both front and rear are suicide opening. Because they're HDPE, like our skid plates we installed earlier, they're very light and they don't stress the door hinges from excess weight. They also won't bleed rust when you scratch through paint like steel doors, and they also won't chip paint because, you guessed it, they're poly. They are engraved with the Team MSC Parts logo and also swing super wide for entry and exit of the vehicle. So up next, TeamMSCparts.com also hooked us up with their rear cab windshield that's lightly tinted, as well as a Super ATV front flip-out windshield. The rear lightly tinted windshield is made from thick and strong polycarbonate and goes on really easily. This rear windshield will keep dust from swirling inside the cab because of the negative pressure created from the front windshield, so it's a must-have if you put on the front glass. The front hydraulic strut-assisted poly shield is made of 1/4-inch poly, and it's claimed to be 250 times stronger than glass and 25 times stronger than acrylic. What I take from that? It's better. It also features an XR optic hard coating that makes it much more scratch resistant on both sides, so everything that touches the windshield won't necessarily leave a permanent mark. It also won't yellow over time as the UV punishes it. Install is easy with heavy-duty cage clamps and beefy poly surround that makes for a rattle and squeak-free product after install. The opening system is also adjustable so you can have it closed, fully open, or just vented to help give you a little bit of breeze. Now when it comes to exterior protection, we haven't really done a whole lot besides our CFMOTO skid plates, so let's have a look at what ThumperFab offers for this rig. Up first, I'd like to put on their wicked beefy Nerf rails. These things are incredible and beautifully made and thought out. Aside from the precision ends, the precise clear-out reliefs, and the strong mounting points, these Nerf rails do add a great practical entry foot placement point that helps with this rig now being so big and tall. The CNC laser cut from American steel rails are made in the USA, like all ThumperFab parts, as well as 3-stage powder coated, so we know that we have a long-standing coating that won't easily come off in the rigors of abuse we will throw its way. And just as a quick side note, these Nerfs look insanely cool, like take this thing to the next level cool, while adding massive practicality. Now while we're on the topic of body protection, ThumperFab sent us both front and rear winch bumpers, but these aren't just your standard bumpers. Up front, the ThumperFab UFORCE 1000 winch bumper is built for abuse. They claim it's the strongest winch-ready side-by-side bumper for the UFORCE on the market, and it's rated for up to a 6,500-pound winch. That is wild. Like the Nerfs, these bumpers are CNC laser cut from American-made steel. Now we can leave our stock winch on if we wanted to, as there's a removable plate for a fair lead in the stock location, or you can high mount a winch in the front opening. There's E-TRAX slots in the bottom of the bumper to add in tie down for an E-TRAX strap or D-rings, and you can also opt for the available built-in LED light bar, which obviously we did. That gains us a 12-inch dual row LED light bar with a beautiful recessed design and also comes with a wiring harness. If you're buying this bumper, the light bar is a no-brainer as it's so integrated. Now I did say front and rear, didn't I? So let's take a look out back now, where there is no shortage of beef for this bumper either. Featuring the same CNC laser cutting from 3/16 inch as well as 1/8 inch steel, the rear winch bumper is ready to accept up to a 3,500-pound winch high and out of harm's way. The same 3-stage powder coating that's on the Nerfs and the front bumper can be found here as well, and built-in HD D-ring mounts for recovery and tie-down are all standard. 3-inch cube light ready cutouts are easy to add in lighting of your own, or you can just check the box and have ThumperFab throw in their own quad row LED lights already pre-installed with a wiring harness, and yes, we did check that box. They fit perfectly, come with the harness, and are ready to plug in, and they have a level of finish to the rear bumper that is next level, and functional when out overlanding. With this setup, we're ready for just about anything the outdoors can throw our way. Now the final part that ThumperFab sent our way is a really unique rear headache rack, but this headache rack has a trick up its sleeve. it's got a built-in winch. And again, you guessed it, CNC laser cut, American-made HD powder-coated steel, but where this rack deviates from the normal headache racks out there is the built-in and included 1,500-pound winch. Why a winch, you might ask? Well, as we aren't going to just use this for overlanding, but also as a portable hunt camp, the winch will allow us to haul any harvest into the rear box with ease and transport it back to the truck or camp for processing. Is it a flex for the buddies? Well, maybe, but tell me you've never wondered why someone doesn't put a winch on the back of a side-by-side for hauling things into the box. It's a smart design and very functional. The rack steel mesh is designed and ready for Rotopax accessories like tools and fuel, and there's MOLLE webbing for easy add-ons. You can also spec the rack with dual rear work lights if you want. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably wondering, how come you didn't add winches to the front and rear bumpers when you installed them? And don't worry, I'm about to do that right now. Up front, we have a minty fresh Warn VRX 45S synthetic rope winch. The VRX has a load holding brake, so you don't have to worry about the winch slipping out line. It's an all metal construction, as well as it's durable and beefy, and the clutch design on the VRX series is now based off of the legendary Warn four-wheel drive locking hub design, which, if you know anything about off-roading, you know that this is as durable as the day is long. The VRX 45 comes with the wiring, as well as the dash-mounted rocker switch, as well as a corded remote. Now out back, we have the VRX 35S, which in every way but overall pulling power is identical to the 45S in specs. It's still IP68 waterproof rated to keep the elements out, and has the same lifetime mechanical warranty and 3-year electrical warranty of the 45S. Now, while the standard synthetic rope included with the Warn winches are adequate, we wanted to make sure that we outfitted the overlanding rig with the best of the best, and so using a Frayed Knot Ropes products takes our recovery to the next level. Utilizing their Magnus line of Canadian-sourced and Canadian-made UHMWPE fiber winch lines, we're guaranteed a minimum brake strength of 9,500 pounds on their quarter-inch line. We also like to use their soft shackles that, even at a quarter-inch, are rated at 21,000 pounds minimum braking strength and a 7,000 pound working load limit. And for help in towing out buddies or pulling just about anything, the 2-inch aluminum hitch insert with 3/8 soft shackle is not just the perfect lightweight companion for an overland rig, but you'll soon learn that keeping it in your truck comes in incredibly handy as well, with a minimum braking strength of 39,000 pounds and a working load limit of 13,000 pounds. We also keep an Frayed Knot kinetic energy rope handy, as the pull-out power of these ropes is incredible, helping us when we need that extra kinetic energy to help get something really stuck out. So I know with all this extra winching power, as well as the lights and all the future stuff that we're gonna put on here, I need to upgrade my battery. So Motovan sent me over yet another anti-gravity battery. This ATX30 with Restart technology comes in at only 5.75 pounds in comparison to the stock 22-pound battery. Yeah, you're saving over 16 pounds of weight, but it's not really the weight that's the biggest benefit. The Restart technology means that this lithium-ion battery has an actual jump starter built right in. And for our overland use, that's a huge benefit. I can accidentally drain the battery, and all I have to do is push the jump start button, and boom, I'm back in business. This battery features 880 cranking amps and can be mounted in any orientation I want. I also received a Noco Gen Pro 10x2 onboard battery charger, maintainer, and desulfator. Right now, I only have one onboard battery, but with all the power needs and the future ones to come, it's always smart to have a battery maintainer like this on board. It's waterproof, works with traditional lead acid or lithium batteries, and will not just charge batteries, it'll recover them all the way down to 0 volts. With overlanding in mind, being able to plug in our rig and know the batteries will be tip-top anytime we set out, it's good for peace of mind. Motovan also hooked me up with a bunch of quad lock accessories for my cell phone, from a weatherproof wireless charger mount to my specific phone case with built-in quad lock to vibration dampeners and quad lock mag rings. While we want to get away from it all, overlanding in peace, having things like onX maps available and handy in front of us are pretty important. And the fact that the quad lock is so secure and sturdy means we don't have to worry about it falling off and going missing. You know, this might be the most parts that I have ever put onto a vehicle, and quite possibly the biggest transformation that I have ever seen here at DIRT TRAX. And the next time that you see this overland rig, it's going to be wrapped and ready to go. I'm going to take it out, put it to the test, use it as an overland rig, and my wilderness camping hub.
Trail Tech is sponsored by Princess Auto. Make it work.
Well, with the Expedition build mostly finished up, I did want to take some time to address something that I don't usually have to think about: lighting. But not lighting like we normally talk about it. Sure, we always put on light bars and cube lights and other things like this, but what I haven't ever had to think about in the past is lighting up a workspace or a campsite from a side-by-side. That's not something I typically do. So I took a run to Princess Auto and I got everything that I needed. Princess Auto has lighting accessories for your ATV, side-by-side, pickup truck, RV, boat, or heck, even your garden tractor if you've got that fragile, light skin and want to cut your grass at night. They'll get you geared up with more options than I can shake a stick at, but sticks and lights don't go together, so just head over to Princess Auto store and get yourself geared up. TRUX Accessories has a lot of options when it comes to lighting, but I wanted something that didn't take up too much space and then likewise would throw a lot of light, and the Stealth series does just that. Now, before I go too far, I've got to speak to wiring of these lights, because most lights you're gonna need a wiring harness to get them installed, and Evergear has so many options to make this part of the job really hassle-free, but also easily serviceable. What I mean by that is my stock TRAX lights have bare wires on the end of the pigtails, and my Evergear single and double light wiring harnesses have a nice waterproof clip-in style connector. So instead of going non-removable, non-serviceable and cutting my wiring harness connectors, I just grabbed up a bunch of Evergear Quick Connect light connectors. They do come with both sides, so I'll have extras, but they are matching clips for my Evergear 1-2 and single light wiring harnesses. A quick wire up, some heat shrink, and we're in business to not just install these lights, but also move location without having to cut wires and resplice. Okay, so the wiring part of this is done. Let's get these lights onto the CFMOTO Expedition build and see if we can't light up the world. And what I've got is four 4.5-inch Stealth series LED lights that throw out 3,200 lumens apiece in a flood style light that reaches a max light width of roughly 98 feet. The lights are 4.5 inches wide, 4.8 inches tall from mount to top, and only about 2 inches thick. They have a built-in M8 bolt-through stainless steel mount with stainless hardware and lock washer, and the whole housing is IP67 rated, so it's watertight and ready for the elements. These lights draw 35 watts at 2.9 amps and won't drain our battery. I'm putting 2 of them up front where the secondary winch mount is and aligning them to the far outside to really illuminate the trail along with our built-in bumper light bar. Out back, I'm also mounting 2 of the 4.5-inch TRUX lights to be able to light up anything we might be hauling in the bed, or also just help to light up the rear of the base camp when the Expedition build is parked. Okay, so lots of light front and rear, but remember how I said I wanted to illuminate the base camp? So I stopped and I got to thinking about how I could do this. TRUX Accessories also makes these really handy little 3-inch MIDI floodlights at 1200 lumens, only 9 watts and a really tiny 0.75 amp draw. They've got the same stainless hardware mounting and 3-year warranty as the bigger lights, but they come in this ultra compact size that's only about 2.6 inches wide, 3 inches tall, and about 1.5 inches thick. The light is thrown out to a maximum width of around 65 feet, so I thought, why not put 2 of these on each side of the roof and then mount the switch where I can access it getting in and out of the rooftop tent by the ladder. Then when I'm coming down from the tent, boom, I can light up the camp, and when heading off to bed, I can likewise shut them down and not have to worry about going to the dash to look for the switch. I installed them the exact same as the bigger 4.5 inchers with the same Evergear double light wiring harness as well as the quick connects. The light from these powerful little mini floods is perfect for camp lighting and making sure that I can set up no matter what time of the day I arrive at my destination. Now, I've only shown you a tiny selection of lighting options that I could have used for this build, but Princess Auto had exactly what I wanted, and I know that they're gonna have what you want for your project as well. And you can check them out at any one of their Canada-wide stores.
DIRT TRAX has been sponsored by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. And BRP Performance Exhaust, built for the victory lap. And by Hercules Tire. Ride in our strength.
It has been a really long time since I've tested a mud-specific side-by-side, mostly because there just aren't that many of them out there. Can-Am is definitely leading the way in this area though. They have an XMR model in nearly every category. What we have sitting here is a Maverick XMR Turbo RR. Now there are a lot of letters in that name. The ones that really matter though are the MR and the RR. The MR lets you know that this unit is intended to spend its time in the mud with specific features and tuning to that end. The RR indicates that you have 200 horsepower under the hood. The Maverick XMR Turbo RR features Can-Am's latest rendition of their Ace architecture 3-cylinder 999cc engine. And this isn't the one with big horsepower. This is the version with really big horsepower. The last Can-Am XMR side-by-side I tested was the Commander, which, if it lacked anything, it was definitely power, and yet it remained exceptionally capable in some pretty extreme conditions. I was really interested to see what effect doubling that horsepower would have in the mud. And unsurprisingly, the effect was good. I mean, really good. Being able to spin all 4 of these 30-inch ITP cryptid mud tires all at the same time did 2 very different things. First, it kept me from getting stuck, and second, it got me really stuck. Now, if you're thinking that 200 horsepower might be a bit unruly, especially when your only contact with the ground comes in the form of 30-inch tires with very tall, hard lugs, you'd be right. If I had to gripe about one thing here, it would be that these tires feel slippery on hard surfaces, and yes, slippery is the word I was looking for. They give a very vague handling feeling, especially on hard packed surfaces and especially in the rear. They feel like they're sliding around all the time. In the mud though, they're amazing. They do an amazing job of slinging copious quantities of swamp goo in literally every possible direction, and they clear out really well. But on the trail, they leave a little something to be desired. Luckily, we don't buy an XMR for its perfect trail manners, do we? So this is a small problem for sure, but a problem not helped by 200 horsepower. Now luckily, the Turbo RR has 2 throttle modes, Eco, which I used on the trails, heading to the mud, and Sport, which I used when I was churning my way through the mud. For 2024, the Maverick XMR Turbo RR gets Can-Am's Smart Lock multi-mode differential. With a simple push of these 2 buttons, you can select between 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive trail, 4-wheel drive mud, and 4-wheel drive lock. Like you, I also wondered what 4-wheel drive mud does differently than trail or locked. Now apparently it starts out with the front diff unlocked, then locks or unlocks it as it deems necessary based on engine speed and wheel slippage. I used this mode whenever I was in the mud, and other than easier steering before and after the mud hole, it felt fairly indistinguishable from 4x4 lock to me. One of the most appreciated design features of the Maverick platform is the scooped hood. It gives you excellent sightlines out front onto the trail. Now these sightlines are also very beneficial in the mud, but they do come with one pretty serious drawback when things get deep. The scooped hood design acts as a scoop, directing water and mud onto the driver and passenger instead of deflecting it forward or to the sides. Driving into a deep hole results in a literal wave of not so tasty chocolate milk being forced directly into your face. Now like I said, the improvement in forward sightlines are definitely welcome, but be aware there is a messy trade-off. After running this Maverick XMR in some seriously deep scenarios, I can say with absolute confidence that the factory installed snorkel setup works exactly as promised. No matter how fast I drove into them or how deep the mud holes got, not a drop of water got into the engine or onto the belt. The snorkels look cool and are out of the way. They're located slightly higher than the driver's head, so if you ever find yourself in a situation where you do ingest water, you're probably in the process of drowning anyway, so you won't likely care. So I tested the tires, and I tested the motor, and I tested the differential, and all of them worked great. I also tested the factory installed 4,500 pound winch with synthetic cable, and I'm pleased to say that it works exactly as advertised also, which is a really good thing because you're gonna need it. One of the major differences between an XMR ATV and an XMR side-by-side is that you can use your body to help persuade the ATV to find traction when it feels like you're running out of it. But in a side-by-side, you basically just sit there and hope the tires hit something solid to keep you moving forward. But you have to remember, you're in a big, heavy, long vehicle. Yes, it has 14 inches of ground clearance, but it also has a large, flat bottom. You can't water wheelie it, you can't rock it, and you can't lean it on its side. So when you're stuck, you're just stuck. If there is one thing I think Can-Am could improve about the Maverick XMR Turbo RR, it's the location of the winch, or more specifically, the free spool lever on the side of the winch. It's hard to get to when you're on solid ground, and even harder to get to when there's 1.5 feet of water above it. Other than that, I do have to say, the Maverick XMR Turbo RR is as good as every other Can-Am XMR model, which is to say, it is darn good. It'll get you further than pretty much any other stock side-by-side on the market. Now, it's not cheap, but you have to remember you're getting a lot of mud-specific upgrades you'll spend thousands adding to a non-XMR Maverick to make it as capable. So in that respect, it actually is a really good value. If your favorite Saturday afternoon activity is finding the biggest, gnarliest mud hole and then taking your new shiny side-by-side and driving it right into the middle of it, then spending the next few hours trying to go further and further, pass after pass, the Maverick XMR Turbo RR is the perfect side-by-side for you. It'll take you further than pretty much any other stock side-by-side on the market. The only problem you're going to have is finding mud holes that are long enough.